Well, hello. Welcome to the 16th annual IAB Engage. It's been 3 years since we were able to do this in person. So it's bloody fantastic to see you all and be back here doing it again in real life and standing remotely. So thank you for making it in here. If you've not been to Engage before, it's really about showcasing digital advertising in all its forms and all its shapes. But today will be a bit different to other Engages if you have been before. We've made the day shorter, we've made the sessions shorter, but we will maximise the content that you get out of today. My introduction also has to be shorter, so I'm going to have to be pretty concise here. As you heard, I will be sharing the results from our 2021 digital ad spend study, which we're launching today. But first off, I just want to leave you with one thought for today. I spent a lot of my time talking to businesses about their approach to digital advertising, their approach to technology, and I have done for a number of years at the IAB. And I'm struck often by the two extremes you get from businesses that put their head in the sand and don't want to think that the world is changing, and at the other extreme, businesses that just want to deliver shiny new things and don't really think about what their customers are going to use. And the best approach, I think, involves learning, trying things, yes, but learning from them and learning from other people. So my message for today is to be more like this chap. Now, does anyone know who this chap is? In fact, if you do, look, I've got 10 English pounds here that I'm willing to give you, tax-free, if you can tell me who this is. Any guesses? No guesses? Thank goodness for that. So this is Levi Strauss. So my message for you today is to be more Levi. Now, why do I say that? Now, there's probably quite a few of you in the room that know a lot more about the gold rush in San Francisco than I do, but I'm guessing there's a few of you that don't know that much about it. So the gold rush was in the middle of the 1800s in San Francisco. San Francisco went from a village of 200 people to 300,000 in just a couple of years. And people arrived, well, 1849 is when most people started arriving, and obviously the 49 bit got given to the San Francisco 49ers. That's where that number comes from. People arrived often by boats through what became known as the Golden Gate, which obviously now lends its name to the Golden Gate Bridge. Mr. Levi turned up there, Mr. Strauss, sorry, turned up there in 1850. But he did things a bit differently. He didn't just follow the 300,000 people to do the same as them. He didn't just follow them to mine for gold. He went there and thought, actually, what do these people need? And he realised what they needed was better trousers. So he invented the denim jeans. That's where they came from, to allow people to have trousers that could cope with mining gold. So here we are today. Not Levi Strauss, but part of the media uniform still today. So that's my message for today, is be more Levi, be like him. Don't just follow the crowds, but don't just do nothing. Learn from other people. And that's really what today is all about, learning from some of the smartest people in the industry. Now, the other thing I wanted to do today is share with you our ad spend numbers. So we do this every year. We do a study, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. It's really the barometer for the industry of how much is spent in digital advertising. And we do that with PwC. We thought it'd be interesting, though, before I reveal the overall number for this year, just to look back, because as you saw in the video, it's been, a couple of very long years that have been a bit crap. And obviously that's had an impact on, all of our behaviours and also on ad spend as well. This is digital advertising over the last 10 years or so, before COVID happened. What I like about this curve is this sort of beautiful consistency in the growth of digital advertising. It's been incredibly consistent, its growth, over the last 10 years or so. Of course, then COVID happened, but so it'd be interesting just to compare, well, what if COVID hadn't happened and actually digital advertising had continued to grow at the same rate? Then we would have ended up with this very nice consistent curve like this. And given how consistent it was in the past, It's not a million miles, it doesn't take a massive leap of faith to think this might have been what happened. But of course, COVID happened. So actually, in 2020, the blue line there represents what actually happened in digital advertising. And digital advertising actually still grew, but actually grew at a much smaller rate than it might have done. So I think it's fascinating then to see, well, what happened in 2021? I might have thought, if I was being kind of optimistic, that perhaps the blue line would show a similar rate of growth to the sort of magenta line on there, and there'd be an uptick just running parallel to where that magenta line is. Perhaps in a year of a lot of change of consumers and how marketers behave, perhaps we might see that blue line catch back up with that pink line, and we see a sort of V-shaped recession that we talked about at the past, and actually digital advertising catches back up with where it might have been. So what did we actually see in 2021? We saw this. Actually, we've seen the biggest rate of growth for digital advertising that we've seen for 15 years, which is incredible and incredibly interesting, I think, how much we've changed as consumers and as marketers to drive this massive change. If you kind of zoom in on that gap, actually, there's a £2.5 billion gap of where digital advertising might have been if it continued to grow at the same rate that it was growing in previous years. So actually, we've seen a massive increase on where digital advertising might have been. So the number that we released today is £23.5 billion that was spent on digital advertising in the UK in 2021, a 41% increase on last year, on 2020. As I said, that's the biggest increase we've seen for some 15 years now. One of the things that's really encouraging about that is, obviously, as you'd expect, the biggest 5 companies grew very strongly, but actually there was growth across the board. So on average, businesses grew, outside of the top 5, on average, businesses grew by 33%, which is really important to us. Our mission is building a sustainable future for digital advertising. So really encouraging to see that growth across the whole industry. Something that's also very close to my heart, having joined IAB to look after mobile many years ago, actually mobile advertising has grown as well. It's now £14.13 billion was spent just on mobile advertising in the UK, and mobile now actually representing 60% of all digital advertising. One other stat that I thought was very interesting to look at as well is just looking under where some of that growth is coming from. Actually, display has grown massively year on year, up 60%, and video advertising as well, up to £5.5 billion now spent on video advertising, up 58%. Now, this full deck is on our site, iabuk.com, so you can go there and access the whole thing. There's a tool you can play with to look at trends over the years, so please do go and check it out. There's also new areas in there that are growing. We've got gaming in there for the first time ever. Just pick out one other new area that I think is very interesting, which is digital audio, which we've tracked for a couple of years now. But it's a topic. I love podcasts. I'm sure there's many of you love podcasts. So it's great to see how advertisers are reacting to digital audio now. We've seen really strong growth in that as well, up 58% to £164 million. So please do check out ad spend. Absolutely. I mean, in the time I've worked at the IAB, I think this year is the most interesting, that incredible growth in the last year, sort of picking that apart, I think is incredibly interesting. So please do check it out. All it really remains for me to say is thank you to you for coming. And thank you to our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we could not have done today. So thank you to Nano Interactive, SmartFrame, Spotify, Triple Lift, and of course Quantcast as well, because as I say, without any of those companies we could not have done today. So let's be a little bit more like this chap. Let's be a little bit more like Levi Strauss. Let's not just follow the herd, but let's learn. Let's use today as a catalyst to learn things. Hopefully you'll be able to take some things back to the office that you've learned from today and are able to use. You are going to hear from some brilliant people today. We've got Spotify on the sonic science behind why we love brands, why we in brands love digital audio. We've got Meta on the uncomfortable conversations you need to unlock growth. Snap on how AR is helping to drive sustainability. We've got Reddit on exploring how marketers can empower connected communities. We've got Global and TfL looking at how they use data to shape customer journeys. We've got the Ozone Project on predicting behaviour trends via first-party data. Twitch on tapping into streaming communities. We've got on-device research talking about how to address effectiveness in the metaverse. And at the end of the day, or the end of this morning, we've got TikTok megastar, the most famous train spotter in the world, bar none, Francis Bourgeois. Hopefully he'll be on stage with his GoPro. First up as well, say after me, we've got Roya from Google, who will allow you to all be a little bit more like Levi, because you'll be able to go back to the office having a little more insight into the trends that are bubbling away on YouTube at the moment, so you can be a little bit ahead of the curve. So that's it. That's it from me. Roya is up next, but thank you very much for listening. Do go to the site, check out ad spend, do be a bit more Levi, and hopefully I will see you at lunch to catch up. Thank you very much.